Is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Level With You show. My name is Wiley Olmsted, and this week we've got a full crew here. I am joined by the Sub-Zero hero himself, Kenny Castro,
Hi guys, how's it going? What's up?
the Do Artistic one himself, Anthony
Chima,
Duart,
Chima, kamesai.
and
Ikitakimasu.
he has once again regained his Phantom status, the Phantom producer, Tyler Hadley.
Ooh, spooky Halloween.
Only
Ooh.
4 more days until Halloween,
And I
and
still don't
only
have a costume.
7 more days until the election. If you're able to vote, vote. Please do it. Future depends on it. Please, you know what to do. You know the choice to make.
We are all literally dying. Somebody send help.
Alrighty. So, if you didn't know, this is a weekly video game podcast where we all get together and talk about, you guessed it, video games. And we've got some good ones, some okay ones, some, I don't know, maybe they didn't like something they played to talk about this week. And back half of the show, since it has been 20 years since the PlayStation 2 was released, we are going to be looking back on some of the fondest games and memories that we had with the greatest selling console of all time. Came out October 26, 2000, and changed the gaming landscape forever.
Ooh, it
But before
did.
we
It
jump
did.
into all that, we like to do a little catch up, see how each other's doing, check in during the pandemic. So Anthony, you had a little bit of a COVID scare. You were
Oh yeah.
out of commission, and why don't you tell us a little bit about it?
Oh god, it sucked. It was awful. I woke up last Monday. I wasn't feeling so hot. I was like, oh, I got a little bit of a sore throat. Thought it was just like dry because I have my AC on still with the fan because it does get a little hot in my room. So I
Mhm.
was like, oh, it's probably just like I don't know, dry. So I, drank some water and carried on with my day. And then I woke up Tuesday morning, and when you have a sore throat, you don't, it's like it feels like knives are stabbing you.
That's pretty damn sore, all
Yeah,
right.
I was like, that sucks. And then my whole like entire left side of my upper body was just sore. So I was like, that's probably not good. So I called out of work and waited in line at Holyoke Community College for like 2 hours for them to pull up my car. It was all in car testing. So they
Mhm.
got a big Q-tip and the lady goes, all right, 5 seconds each nostril. So I said, what? And she went, and then pulled it out and then did the another one. And then I said, thank you. And they gave me a piece of paper and then I went home and slept for like 4 days. So
So I was thinking that you were gonna have it. No offense,
no, that's okay. I thought I would too
because of your
I've been around the
symptoms.
public. Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
and glad to hear that you don't. Well, you assume you don't because you got the negative test. You know they're
mhm,
not 100% accurate, but
right.
um,
At least it's more accurate than that rapid one because it's like I'd have to go like an hour out of the way to even go get the rapid one, whereas those are apparently their accuracy is even lower.
okay. Well, anyway, how you feeling now? Y'all back to normal?
I'm doing good. I'm feeling good, nice and rested, and I'm somewhat rested, but I'm good. I'm
Back on the daily
back in it.
grind. Cool, glad to hear it. Well, we missed you on the show, and I'm sure that the listeners at home did as
Well, I
well.
missed you guys too.
All right, Kenny, what's going on in your neck of the woods?
Not much, not much. Just gaming, family, getting ready for the fiance's birthday this Friday. Um,
Ooh, happy
yes,
birthday, Medalis.
you'll appreciate that.
Happy
Does catch
birthday!
the episode. Um, yeah. Other than that, just being real low key, finishing out the flag football season. Um,
How's the
nothing
record?
crazy. We made it to the playoffs. 4-4. Not
So that
happy.
gets you a seat at the playoffs?
Weapon?
Does everybody make it to the playoffs?
No, 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 no.
Ooh,
Uh, 6 out of the 8 teams make it. First 2 seeds get first week buys, and then everybody else has to play their games first week of the playoffs. So we ended up as the 5th seed due to tie breaking things like who scored more points and records and things like that. We ended up as a 5th seed. So our last game of the season is actually our rematch in the first round of the season, first round of the playoffs. So we get to face who just beat us.
And what position do you play?
Defensive line, all over the defensive line.
Gotcha. Cool. Well, best
nice.
of luck in the playoffs. Sounds like a good
Thank you, guys.
time. Well, myself,
You
this
got this, man.
weekend, I had a good time with one of our regular listeners, Brendan. We went on a bike ride, and
Oh,
that
nice.
was
Hey,
cool. And
That was awesome.
yeah,
He was telling me about
he,
that when we played Pokemon.
oh, word. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely a good time. Lots of good conversation and good exercise. I will say that he's very brazen about sort of really taking up 2 lanes. I think he got honked at 5 times.
Hell yeah, Brendan. You show him. Yeah, that's your road. You can ride. They gotta watch out for you. You're the pedestrian.
Which at first I was like, I don't know. Should I say something? And then I just decided it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Like,
Don't you hate that when you're like, I really want to say something, but I don't want to be rude, but I also don't know if I should say it, and you're like, ooh, and then they try to ask you something, and you're just like,
yep. And now
lost.
he's just gonna hear it on the show, and then this is how we communicate now.
Exactly. It's a healthy relationship.
They'd
It's
be like,
at least
oof.
it's communication.
Yeah, and it was funny. I think a couple times where I was like telling him about something. He's like, "Oh yeah, I know. I heard about it on the show." So it's like, okay, well.
Hell yeah. Biggest fan. Can't
I know, right?
can't ask for more than that.
Uh, Other than that, been watching lots of horror movies. Last night I watched one that was okay, and it was because I was with Elena and she wasn't really feeling something intense. We watched Paranorman. You guys ever see that one?
Yeah, the art in that.
Mm.
That's I love that style of that movie. Oh man,
Definitely has beautiful art, and it's feels like it's a CG movie, even though it's stop motion. Really impressive. The
would you
story,
recommend it?
I would recommend it. I wouldn't recommend it with a. It's not a strong recommendation. Like it's a
Yeah,
good
it's just a good
family
like
spooky
yeah.
film, especially for like younger, 8 to 10, 8, 10, 12 year olds. And like Anthony said, the animation's really great. Nightmare on Elm Street, or not Elm Street, Nightmare Before Christmas, um,
Which is a
Paranormal.
Christmas movie.
No, it's a Halloween movie.
It's definitely a
Uh,
Halloween movie.
It's a you
It's both.
actually could
It's a
make the
Christmas
argument.
and
It's a
Halloween movie.
Christmas movie. It takes place after Halloween, and it's Christmas themed.
I think it's both. I mean,
Yeah,
doesn't the first song say that it's like called "This Is Halloween," right?
it's just
Because
Halloween.
of the name of the
Halloween.
town. Yep,
Right,
That's just
because
like
of
how
the
Step
name of the
Brothers
town.
is a
Okay.
Christmas movie too, because
exactly.
Christmas happens like 3 times in the movie.
And technically, one of
Die
the Die
Hard.
Hard is a Christmas movie as well.
Yes, it is. That's my lineup for Christmas is Step Brothers, Die Hard, and then usually all the Rugrats Christmas specials.
What about
Nice.
A Christmas Story? Are you big on that one? Like,
I'm actually,
Um,
I'm not
yeah, don't mess
really.
with that one.
I'm not a big
I'm
Christmas Story
s-
guy.
I'm sick to death of it.
I just
I I,
couldn't.
I
The
used to
piggy
really
part
like
weirds
it.
me out.
The what part?
The piggy part, where they're sitting around the family dinner table, and it's like I do fetish art for a living, so not much really weirds me out. But there's just like tone to that scene where they're at like, the dinner table eating, and then it gets really quiet because the dad just yelled or something, from what I remember. And then one of the little kids, not the main character, but I think his brother, is sitting there like stuffing his face with something. He just goes, and the mom's like, "Oh, you little piggy!" And then they all start laughing really weirdly and forced, and it's really really weird.
I think I can recall what you're talking about, and yeah, there's definitely some just strange family humor that maybe doesn't translate 40 years later, but
True.
it uh, it's a classic in its own right. But they play it 24 hours a day, I think, on TBS and
Mm.
TNT,
Oh
and
God.
on Christmas. So it's always an easy option when you're sitting around, the presents are opened, and you're sort of wondering, is it time to drink yet?
Yeah, right.
But
Exactly. What's that one Christmas movie where the guy goes and like pays? He's like a rich guy. He like says screw his whole family, or either something happens to his family, or he just like doesn't like his family, and he goes and like rents this family for
Oh, you're
like
talking about the Ben Affleck movie
the Ben Affleck one. Yeah, yeah. I watched that like
with
3 times in a
With
row.
James Gandolfini. I know exactly the one you're
Yeah,
talking about.
I don't
I
think I
forget
know
what it's
this one.
called. It's
Oh, really? It's really good. It's really good. I'll look up the name and I'll let you know which one it is. It's funny. Ben Affleck is, I think a music mogul. He gets away
yeah,
from his from the he's like doesn't know what to do, so he's like, you know what? Let me go back to my childhood home.
yes.
He finds James Gandolfini and his family there, and he's like, "How about I pay you guys a lot of money to pretend like you're my family?"
Because I want a good family Christmas for once. He's like, growing up,
Yep,
I didn't have a good family Christmas or something like that. And he's like, I
yep,
want a real family Christmas. And then he like runs into his old childhood sweetheart, and then this rich girl from the city who's like he's
yep,
dating at the time, and they had the whole like he has to pretend he's just like she's his sister, and it's hilarity ensues. The grandpa watches porn with the kid.
yep.
Okay, so the movie's called Surviving Christmas. I just
Yes.
That's
looked it
it.
up,
Yep.
and I'm glad that you guys enjoyed it. But it has a 7% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh, it's
Oh
not
yeah.
like fantastic by any means. I had to actually. It was on TV when I went.
It's so funny though, and like in its own ways.
Yeah, it's
Mm,
definitely it's a
Well,
reflection of the humor of when it came out, but it's
Yep.
not funny after you see it 3 times in a row because that's the only
Oh.
thing that's like on the TV at the time.
weird. Well, you don't gotta agree with the critics, that's for sure. My favorite Christmas movie is Elf at this point.
Yes,
Like, it's really has not. I'm not tired of it yet. It's funny. Will Ferrell's hysterical. He's like born for that role,
yes, I
and
agree.
Zoe
Zoe Deschanel the
Deschanel is
Babe,
very cute. Yeah,
Dang.
exactly.
Babe,
How did we get on the topic of Christmas?
I don't
I
know.
don't know.
Halloween.
This is like, oh, that's what happened. That's what happened.
Too early.
Sorry,
It's
sorry,
never too
Tyler.
early.
I
You
was
gotta
talking
start
about
shopping now.
Nightmare Before Christmas, and then just went from there. But anyway, I have been watching the movies. I just finished listening to Salem's Lot on Audible, and now I'm listening to It on Audible, and it's freaking awesome so far. I'm only like,
What's Pen 15? Is Pen 15 an audiobook or is that a movie you watched?
oh no,
It's
no.
a show.
I put that in just or something we could chat about. It's a Hulu show. It takes place in the year I think 2000, maybe like 2001 or two,
Mhm.
and the two main characters are 30 something women, but they're playing eighth graders or sixth or eighth graders. I forget, but and all the other kids are actually played by people of that age. So their interactions have this like extra
That's
level
funny.
of uncomfortableness to them, and just the way that these two really go for it. Like these ladies are hilarious. Like that they really are both create some of the most cringeworthy but and also heartfelt and relatable moments. And as somebody that was in middle school in the early 2000s, it's hitting me in the nostalgia feels in a lot of ways that I didn't expect. Like
I'll have to look into
things
this.
things that I haven't thought of in many years. Like, remember those rainbow colored plastic things that were filled with sand? They were like,
Oh god,
Yes,
yeah.
I know what you
Yep.
mean.
They're like
like
the
those
goopy ones.
goopy. I don't know if
Or
they're
they
goop.
not goopy, but they like you could squeeze them?
I never had them. I always just
I
looked at them.
remember. Yeah, there were some that you could squeeze and like they were like in like some weird shapes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were
Where
definitely in
yeah,
strange shapes.
yep.
Anyway, they're just like in the background. I'm like, oh shit, I haven't thought about those in forever.
Mhm.
And just the slang that they use and everything like that's pretty accurate. And I recommend people check it out if they're into comedy, and especially if they're around our age, which 25 to 30.
Does it give off like Broad City vibes? Have you ever seen Broad City? Is it like that, or is it just kind of going for like a slice of life, like middle school, but like we're get the weird, awkward twist because they're obviously older, but they're playing.
Right. I mean, I could see some maybe Broad City vibes, but that is a very modern, or at least modern 5 years ago show about sexually active women in a city. This is about suburban kids in a suburb, but the the two have a similar chemistry. I think the two stars, and like it's real good.
I
Right on.
watched Hubie Halloween
Oh my
Oh
god, I want to
yeah,
watch that so bad.
on Netflix.
Oh,
it wasn't bad actually. I thought it was decent.
Yeah.
I don't know what this
I mean,
is.
it
it's
was
the new Adam Sandler Halloween movie.
yeah.
Is it
It's
really?
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah, it's pretty ridiculous.
and he plays what is the guy's name? He's not like
Hubie.
Doofy.
Hubie.
Hubie. He plays
Yeah.
Hubie stuff. He's like, look at me, I'm the Halloween guy. I'm Adam Sandler, and I get this
Yeah, I
stupid
feel
face
like
I
it's
put
like
on."
such a throwback to like so many different Adam Sandler movies.
Mhm.
There's so many references to past Adam Sandler movies in this thing.
And of course, you always get the O'Doyles in there.
Yep. Well,
Who do you?
didn't
He was
Adam,
like,
did Adam Sandler say that if he didn't win an Oscar for Uncut Gems, that the next movies he make were all gonna suck?
hell
Yep.
yeah, that's
Yep.
awesome. Good for him. Honestly, I was so glad to see him back in his prime. In his prime, I feel his prime. He's just playing a stupid character, like the
For
oh
sure.
yeah, you look at me, I
Yep.
got the
He
goofy voice.
he didn't win the Oscar. Now it's all downhill. Everything we're gonna see is just gonna be ridiculous.
Jack and
Yeah,
Jill too.
gonna be a
I
No,
prefer.
we
Hubie
don't need
Christmas
it.
coming up.
Yes. Oh.
I don't know. I gotta say, I loved Uncut Gems. That was a really
It,
intense movie.
amazing
Well,
movie.
yeah,
I
Uncut Gems was
watched that.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
But-
I
But
hope he
Hubie
does.
Halloween is very different.
Yeah,
It's very
I'm sure. I'm
completely
sure.
on the other side of the spectrum. I know. Anything else you watch, Tyler? Before I jump in.
I watched the Bo Rat movie.
Oh yeah,
you
you
The
did?
new
did
Bo
watch
Rat.
that. How was
Right.
that?
It was pretty good. Yeah, I mean, this is definitely some
Over
like
the
very,
top.
very over the top, some very, very, very cringy parts.
How many
Um,
penises did he show on screen? Like how many penises were there on screen?
You know, I don't think there was there
No, there was a
any.
few. Yeah, there was a few.
Yeah, there's a couple.
Okay, I'll watch
There's
it.
a couple. Yeah.
The
You gotta meet the quota.
the fertility dance really made me cringe hardcore.
Was it like
Yeah.
him and Eric
I-
cringe, or was it like me
Don't
coming
don't
over to a
spoil it
party?
for him because it really is. That is probably the most shocking moment of the movie.
Yeah, for sure.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's on
Uh-huh.
Amazon Prime, and it's making the rounds. People are certainly talking about it. America's mayor, Rudy Giuliani, looking like a total dumbass or a total creepy ass, I should say.
I read the article on that, so that's not gonna. It's already been spoiled for me. Like there was a couple articles rolling around about it.
And he should be thanking Sacha Baron Cohen for running in and stopping him because it was about to get a lot worse. And I won't explain exactly what's happening because you want the sort of the element of surprise of the movie, but
Oh my god.
he would have been in a lot deeper shit had Sacha Baron Cohen not stopped it when he did.
Did he like break
Yeah.
character? Like
No,
it-
he just
oh.
he ran into the room and stopped him from jerking off or like in front of this reporter
That's
or this
awesome.
fake reporter
Oh hell yeah.
who, to be honest, obviously was flirting with him and trying to get him
To
to
get him
do
to, yeah. So he was basically being set up.
totally,
Oh
but
my
he
god.
fell
I
for
have
the
to watch
bait
this. He
Yeah.
fell for the bait.
completely.
The
I
audience.
know.
This is what you come to the show for.
I know.
is what-
I was gonna say, it is what you came for the show for. But I was gonna say what I watched. I actually watched that movie I told you, Wiley. Brightburn.
Brightburn.
The
You
one
told
I
me
was,
you told me about it, but I forgot about it.
yeah. So it's the horror movie take on the Superman origin.
Ooh.
Right. How was it?
Not bad, not bad. Not over the top like something like a must see, but it was good. I thought it was good for what it tried to do.
That's like the
You
kid
know.
who's like, "Mommy, I'm scared, and now I can shoot lasers," or something like that, right?
Kind of. He
Eh.
wasn't even scared. He was getting bullied, and then he was like, "Oh shit, I got superpowers!" And then the spaceship is telling me to take the world. Okay, so I'm gonna start killing people.
Okay.
And so this
Oh.
looks like it was produced by James Gunn, and the
Yep.
screenplays by Brian Gunn and Mark Gunn. Are those both his brothers?
What?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, so a little bit of a family pet project here. I don't know
And
if
it
it's
was
Guns.
it was directed by David Yarnowski or something like that.
Yarovesky.
Grovesky, yeah. So and it does set itself up at the end for sequels. Do I foresee it making rounds with the sequels? Who knows? You know. But
Well,
it
it looks
does
like
set up.
it did turn a profit, so
You know?
there's that.
And it had mixed reviews, so it wasn't like all positive reviews. But it
Mhm.
does set up for a sequel. It kind of teases at a evil Wonder Woman and an evil Aquaman, and it does it
Okay.
in a nice like little um conspiracy theorist YouTube video kind of way. Like when credits are rolling, you get the guy who played Yondu in Guardians of the Galaxy. I forget his name.
I
But
forget his name as well.
you guys know who I'm talking about. He was also in the first season of The Walking Dead.
He's a blue guy.
Yep. So he's in there like a conspiracy theorist, just kind of wailing away, talking about giving off like with how he explains it, like giving off the hints that he's talking about like an evil Wonder Woman and an evil Aquaman. You know,
That's pretty cool.
so
That's
it's
cool.
nice. You
People
know,
could check that out on Hulu. It looks like.
yeah,
Evil
if they
Aquaman could be a good Jaws
if they
origin
made a
story.
if they made a part 2, I would love it because then they could introduce like a whole evil Justice League.
Word. Well, you don't know when any movie's coming out these days due to everything that's going on.
I
And
know.
people do come to the show for that type of banter where we yap about what we're watching and doing, but they also come to the show to hear about some video games. Now, not a ton of new stuff this week. We're kind of going to be touching on some things that we were either just starting last week or I don't know, maybe we started playing a 16-year-old MMO called World of Warcraft again. And Anthony's got some Pokemon Sword and Shield expansion stuff. So
Oh yeah.
I've been hearing some stuff about the Crown Tundra, which I think is the second of two planned DLCs for Pokemon Sword and Shield. Is that right?
Oh yeah. Yep. Second one, and just dropped. What was it last Friday? I think must have
Sounds
been.
right.
Yeah, it's real cool. It's neat. It's I'm definitely liking it a lot more than Isle of Armor because when I was sick, I think I started it on Friday. I heard about it. Brendan actually texted me about it. He's like, "Oh, Island Armor's or the expansion's coming out, the Crown Tundra." I was like, "Oh shit, I haven't even finished the Isle of Armor," so I did that, and that finished up decently. I got a cool fighting and dark type kung fu bear guy that was pretty neat from that expansion. And then you go into this new one, and it's all like you get introduced into it with a new mode, which is really cool. It's very different. It actually kind of makes Pokemon challenging, which is awesome. It's a great switch up to the formula. It's like a roguelike dungeon crawler in a way. You start off by going into a cave. It's basically you get like 2 or 3 battles, and along the way you get to choose the path. You go with either you can do 4 CPUs, which I don't, or 3 other CPUs, which I don't recommend. But you can go on, hop online, and find other friends to play with, or just random people. And you get to rent a Pokemon out of a list of 4 that you start off that are available. So you whoever is first, I don't know how the order is determined, but you get to choose one of those, and then that gets replaced with a different one, and then it goes down the list. So you get to pick out of which 4 Pokemon you'd like to choose. And you go through these different battles between different types you can choose from that are on the list. It's like a cave kind of maze layout, the way it's mapped. And after every battle, you can either choose to catch the Pokemon that you defeat and swap it with the current one you have, or you can choose not to, but only one person can do that out of the 4. So it's a cool little, a lot of teamwork. I recommend playing with friends to make that communication a lot easier. But you have that, and then while you're going along the path, you'll sometimes run into a scientist, I believe, or a hiker. Both of them actually, because one of them will heal your Pokemon. The other one offers an item, a held item that you can choose to help boost the stats, or um, either leftovers or it's classic like the held items in the game you get that can help you out that actually I feel are a lot more effective in this little kind of bite-sized mode rather than obviously overall depending if you're playing competitive or not, but I feel like they have a nice big impact to find them because I picked up when I was going through these item wise glasses that helps kind of boost your special attack for whatever Pokemon you have.
Excuse
And
me.
then at the end you get to fight a randomly chosen legendary,
Hmm.
so
That
it's
sounds pretty
pretty
cool.
cool.
So, what type of things are you earning, and do you have any sort of advantages when you first go in, or is it just really a blank slate each time?
It's kind of a blank slate each time, which is nice. Everybody's on the even, like an even playing field. All the Pokemon's levels are capped. I'm not sure what the default level is. It's either 50 or 100, but they're all the Pokemon on the same level, so you don't have to worry about any leveling. You can't bring in your own. You're earning the currency of this island called like it's not Armorite ore. Um, is some kind of ore. It's like something height you get that you can trade to one of the ladies that's in the front of this little area where you can do the rogue like dungeon crawling, and she'll give you different rewards, different items in the game that are usually harder to obtain. They can usually some that you could usually only get with BP or battle points from the battle tower, but now you can use the armorite or the whatever ore it's called to get the different rewards from it. But it can be a little frustrating, and it does take a while if you go through um, the whole cave, you can choose to keep one Pokemon you catch during the expedition. But
Hmm.
say if you kind of lose out on the legendary, you've caught like a Weezing and I don't know, maybe like a Clefable, you're like, well, all right. But you still get ore no matter how far you get, which is cool. So you're always getting kind of something out of it.
Okay. Well, that sounds like a pretty neat addition to the end game.
Yeah, and that's just the first part. The second part, you go on a little expedition with one of the characters you meet really quickly right at the beginning. Her dad is like a big explorer guy, and he's like, "Oh, we're gonna go on a father-daughter expedition, and it's gonna be great, and you're gonna love it." And she's like, "No, Dad, I want to go on my smartphone and catch Pokemon at Gigantamax raids." And your dad's like, "Ah, well, shit. I don't know. I guess I can go with this kid here. That's fine." So then you go on with
So,
him, and you get to explore the region, which is pretty big, and looking for the legendary, the new one, the big like Jimmy Neutron looking guy with a big crown.
Okay, so there's some standard story stuff that you would expect from a Pokemon expansion, I guess.
Mhm.
All right. Well, that
Yeah.
sounds like it's an improvement over the, I guess, how did you feel about the first expansion again? I think you thought it was pretty
I think it
cool,
just
but
I thought it was cool. It just hit me at the wrong time. I think I'm just salty about it because I played 200 plus hours of just base vanilla Sword and Shield. So I
hmm.
was like, well, by the time that came out, I was like, oh, cool, my Pokemon could follow behind me. That's sweet. But then I was like, well, I don't really want to do anything else. So I just waited till this expansion came out and finished that up quick. And this one's been really, really fun so far. They also introduced, which I thought was sweet, the legendary birds again from Gen 1. So Zapdos, Articuno, and Moltres. But they
Ooh.
look totally different and they're different types. And they're roaming. So as soon as you encounter them, it's not really a big spoiler. As soon as you get to a certain area, they show this. And you can go, or Articuno stays around the Crown Tundra just somewhere. So you have to find it
How
in a
are
big
they
wild
different
area.
types? It's all in their names.
Yeah.
Zapdos,
They still kind of look the same.
Moltres, like Molten,
Mhm.
Articuno,
He looks like a big
Arctic.
molten bird still, but I feel like it's like I don't know. They like jazz. They give him like Hot Topic. I don't know. They gave him like a Hot Topic gift card, and they're like, "All right, here you go, kids. Go have fun." And
What do they make
they're
him, a
all
freaking fighting type?
I don't know. He's orange now. He's orange, and he doesn't have big wings. He's got little. He looks like a chocobo from Final Fantasy. Is the best way that it will kind of ring with me. He's like a big chicken because he walks around and he's super fast. Because I tried chasing him around the wild area last night for like an hour, and I couldn't catch him. I tried for like 2 hours, but we always hit like you have to chase him, and then I ran into him in the paths where there was always kind of inclement weather, so it was like hailstorm that would kill him or like the sandstorm, and I'm like, oh man.
Well, I don't like them messing with my old school Pokemon like that. Keep them how they looked. Zapdos especially. He's the one that holds a special place in my heart.
You can have two
And
still. You can have both versions.
okay, well,
Mm.
whatever. Okay, well that's the newest Pokemon expansion. Thanks for the update, Anthony.
No
Now,
problem.
curious, Kenny, what made you delve back into WoW after so many years?
Me too.
Actually, it's been a bit coming actually, or have had already had the game installed on the PC. Just hadn't added any subscription time. And all my best friends that used to play with me, they're actually back on it, and they were like, "Shadowlands is coming. When are you coming back?" And I was like, "You know what? $15 for the 30 days. Let's see if it still catches that itch." And it does. It does. So much has changed. They scaled back levels. My level 100 hunter, when I logged in, he was 35 because the new level cap is 50.
That's
What?
Um,
crazy. Yeah,
That
they
is
they rolled
crazy.
it totally back. That's nuts. Because
yeah,
I think the most recent expansion, it was like what 120 they buffed
one
it up to.
120. It was last I was on, it was 120. Well, at least yeah, not last I was on, but last I had heard it was up to 120. And yeah, they rolled them back, and
That's wild.
I think they're doing going for I know with Shadowlands is gonna go up to 60, and from there it's gonna be like it's always been. Gear is key. Gear is king. Gotta get those grind out for those special gears. Grind out PvP for your gear or for your PvP armor. Um, so I'm excited to have that, little grind and that I could just drop back to when I'm playing anything else and be like, let me hop on, grind my dailies, try and do some PvP, grind out some honor, whatever the current PvP currency currently is. I haven't checked it out yet because I just felt so overwhelmed with the changes. I created a new character in a realm, and I was like, you know what? Let's start from level one, and just work our way back. I'll get all the little nuances. Everything will just start coming back to me, and then I could hop back into my other characters.
Okay, so are you
Wow.
gonna play through again the Burning Crusade, the Wrath of the Lich King, Cataclysm, Mists of Pandaria, Warlords of Draenor, Legion, and Battle for Azeroth?
No, actually, so you don't when you start a new character, you don't have to play through all of that because each expansion, um, like kind of does kind of wave with all the other like beginnings. So it'll start you off with like some basic 1 through 10 stuff, which is like a tutorial in a sense, and then
Mhm.
from there you're kind of just running through the new expansions, story or whatever story missions they have from level 10 through 50. Some of it will be stuff that you already played through. Some of it will be new content. Some of it will be same submissions, and it is. Some
Okay.
of it will be same missions, but just different, some added lore to it, and stuff like that. So
And so this is a $15 a month game. It has been since it came out. Do you need to pay additional money for the expansions?
actually, most of the expansions are free once you make an account. And I had one expansion didn't buy, which was the Battle for Azeroth,
Yeah, that's
and
the most recent.
I didn't buy that one. Lo and behold, as long as I have a subscription, it's free to me.
Wow.
Yeah, I
So
mean, I kind of maybe when this game was top game in the world in terms of popularity, I could see them charging for an expansion on top of the subscription, but uh, these-
but you will have to pay for the brand new expansion.
you will. Okay, so
Yeah.
I'm Googling that, Kenny, and it seems like it's out today.
Shadowlands?
Wow.
Yeah,
Um,
so
that might have shadow dropped because there was no date prior.
That's a Tuesday.
um,
Yeah, I guess that lines up.
The Tuesday lines up with the weekly maintenance. But dropping today, because I had looked up for the release date a couple days back and I couldn't find anything. And if it dropped today, then not too surprised because I know they had it slated to drop, I think, in October, and they were pushing it back a little bit to do some last minute patches. But
well,
as of
I
right
could be
now,
wrong on that, so double check me. But I'm just if you Google Shadowlands release date, you will see it right there, and then a couple other articles talking about it. So
nice.
looking forward to hearing thoughts on the new expansion next week. I know that the last one from a couple other video game podcasts that I listened to, Battle for Azeroth, was quite divisive and pretty much, I would say, mostly negative from the fan base. But again, I don't play the game, so hope this new one works out well. It is pretty awesome that the game is still going strong after 16 years. Where
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
how does it look? Like, how did compared to when you played it back in the 2000s? Is it
Um, I
prettier?
would I would say because I played it when back in the 2000s when I played it. I was playing it on a regular PC I picked up that my mom bought from Walmart. It wasn't a gaming PC or anything, so it did not look all anything crazy, and I loved it then. Now
Hmm.
playing it on my gaming PC, I'm like, holy crap, this thing looks beautiful. You know?
Yeah. They smoothed that out a lot too, which was nice.
Yep.
Because if you go back, because they have is WoW Classic still a thing, or did they kibosh that?
I think it's still a thing, and actually, there's so much. And when you go into it, remember how you had to do just even for something for to get a quest waypoint
Hmm.
that just pointed you in the direction of your quest. You needed to add a add-on to the game. It's integrated into the game now.
Oh,
So
good.
once you're doing a quest, there's a waypoint that's pointing you to like, oh, 200 yards this way is your
Yeah.
quest.
To go this. And did
Um,
they streamline the beginning a minute? Because I remember I played at like
oh
different
yeah.
points. Like not. I played I think Wrath of the Lich King when that was new, and then I played
Mhm.
again when Cataclysm, and then Mist of Pandaria. I like fell in and out, kind of like what I do with Magic. But
Yeah, it's
uh,
definitely streamlined, and actually, it's what it does. I feel like did real well. I just jumped into a quick dungeon just to check it out again. I'm not sure when they did this, but before the enemy levels didn't scale to your level.
oh,
So now let's say I can queue up for a dungeon with like somebody that's leveled 40 something, and I could be 15 and they'll be fighting people that are 40 something. I'll be fighting my regular level guys,
well, that's cool.
you
Wow.
know?
So it's per player then.
Yep, per player, which is a good mechanic because then, it doesn't just take away like any reason for other people to, play and also makes it easier to queue up together.
Yeah, that's cool. It's
All right.
definitely a good change. I think a more positive change at least.
Word. Cool. Glad to hear about the latest WoW shenanigans. So myself this week, I've been playing the Borderlands 3. I purchased the Super Deluxe Edition, whatever you want to call it, back a couple months ago when it was on sale for $30. Came with the season pass, which is $50 in its own right. And I've taken a few weeks off, but felt real easy to jump right back in there. Hadn't forgot anything. And I finished up the casino, Moxie's something something heist, the first DLC that was released, and now I'm a good ways into the I think it's Guns, Love, and Tentacles, something like that.
Ooh.
The second one, and it's much better. Like the second DLC really has a much more visually appealing environment. It's got a more engaging story. The weapons that I'm finding so far are improved. There's regular boss encounters. There's new effects or status effects to buff and debuff you. Gives it a little bit more of a Destiny vibe. And as a Destiny vet, or I guess former vet, I'm pretty pleased with it as far as the gameplay goes. And I just think that it looks really good. And I just overall, it's good to be past a certain point in Borderlands 3 where you're not dealing with the main quest in that game anymore because the villains are really annoying and they're
Yeah.
talking to you constantly. And it just sort of, for me, even though I think that overall the campaign was very good, just being in a new just not having those two characters around, the twins that are the Calypso twins that are always taunting you and just thinking they're so funny and
Oh, we
not that
live streaming. We're funny. We're quirky. Look at me. I'm the millennial.
yes. So being past that has been sort of nice. I'm just being a little distracted by the footage that Tyler's throwing up, but
That
yeah,
looks sick.
as you can see, it's got great colors. And I think, did you actually search for the expansion, Tyler? Oh,
Yeah, I believe this is it.
okay, it definitely looks like it. Yeah, it definitely is, and it's got a nice Halloween vibe to it as well, which totally perfect timing. Didn't plan that, but the town you're exploring has sort of a I don't know, is
Uh,
vaudeville the word I'm looking for? Just a, a spooky spookiness to it.
yeah, spooky. Just like a Showtime or like a Victorian horror, kind of like werewolves and
Yes,
like
yes,
ooh,
thank you,
Bloodborne.
Victorian. That's a good one. So I am, yeah, I think one of you guys should at least start playing it so we can squad up. And
We've
Yeah, get
got
back
other
in there.
priorities, and its name is Ghost of Tsushima.
that's true.
Ooh.
That's true. So the reason I played Borderlands 3 this week is because it's such an easy one to be able to play for a few minutes or maybe 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and then put down. Um, I've just had a busier than usual week this week. But Ghost of Tsushima, yeah, the raid is coming October 30th, and the four of us need to get back on the grind. Tyler's already been on the grind. That's why he's putting the fire in our bellies. But
Gotta get you up
yeah.
there. You at least
So what
what power level 95 or something?
is it 95? I thought it was 85.
No. For gold missions, it's 85. For the raid, I think it's 95. I'm already
What?
at 86.
You talking about sushi?
Ghost of Sushi, yeah.
No. Ghost of Tsushima. Ooh, that's what we
Ah,
should call our uh gentrified sushi shop.
yeah, Ghost of Sushi. Ghost Sushi Ghost.
Or Ghost of Sashimi.
Ooh,
There we go.
I
Um,
like that.
but yeah, anything you want to say about that, Tyler? I know you've been playing a little bit of the higher level stuff.
It's good, man. I mean, it's the same gripes as we had last week. I mean, you really do kind of have to. It is a commitment. I mean, I play one gold survival game, and it takes about 45 minutes to an hour. So
Hmm.
you really kind of have to like put
Wow.
time aside to play it.
And what do you think the average sort of key power jump is? Because you have got to be 75. It is Kenny actually to play the gold missions, I
Okay.
believe. So what if you're 75 and you complete it with four other 75ers or three other 75ers? Are you going to go to 80 or is it just going to be like 76?
No, I mean if you're level 75 and you complete a gold mission, you'll probably get like around like level 80 gear like that first attempt. Um I mean cuz it's been taking me a while. Like I think the last time I played, I finally just got like my first like level 100 gear. it is kind of sporadic in terms of like when you're actually like are getting the increased gear. I think my key level now is like 96.
And you said you got a legendary weapon that when you get a headshot, it ricochets off other people and hits them in the head as well.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet. I like it a lot.
That's a
That's
pretty
awesome.
cool sounding perk. So, are
Yeah.
there any other legendaries that you've gotten?
The only other legendary I have is a charm that makes you immune to being blinded or stunned, I think.
Okay.
And that comes with a couple different perks that you can modify onto it. But yeah, those are the only two legendaries that I have so far.
Cool. Well, yeah, me and Kenny got to get back on it. Me especially. I'm only level 77, so probably
Yeah.
run a few matchmaking games just so I can catch up with you guys, so I'm not dragging you down during the gold missions, so we can be
Do, do you guys
raid
use like a
ready.
separate character from story mode in the multiplayer, or is it the same
Yes.
character?
Yeah.
Well, it's
You,
the same character. Or are you talking
Okay.
about like single player story mode?
Well, like you have single player. The whole game of Ghosts, and then there's the multiplayer aspect. So it's like, do you have a separate character for like
Yeah.
your story mode is
hmm
one guy? So it's like GTA Online.
yeah, but this is
Yeah.
like very class based. There's 4 classes. Or you've been
Okay.
gone. I forget. We haven't
Yeah. Sorry.
we haven't heard
I'm
anything
curious.
about this. Yeah, so it's a 4-player. Well, there's 2-player story missions and 4-player survival missions, which is essentially a horde mode.
Mm,
And you choose one of 4 classes: the samurai, the assassin, the hunter, and the ronin. And they all sort of have their unique abilities. The ronin specialize in more healing stuff. The samurai is very melee focused. The hunter has a lot of um, distant ranged attacks. The assassin is I haven't used the assassin, but I assume he's extra good at stabbing you in the back.
yeah. That sounds awesome. That sounds pretty cool.
It is
Yeah,
very cool.
it is definitely cool. I know I just recently hit 86, and I think I picked up a legendary sword that I could light on fire.
Ooh,
Just on demand.
Yeah.
that's sweet.
So
The
and
way
after
of
I
the
use it,
flame.
I gotta wait for it to cool down and then come back. It's the sword of Masamune.
Nice.
Ooh,
The way
Got a
of the
good name.
flame.
It's got a good name.
that's cool. Damn.
All right. So last week I talked a little bit about Hypnospace Outlaw. Hypnospace Outlaw, the PC. Well, I guess it's actually on Switch and Xbox as well. But I highly recommend playing it on PC because you're essentially controlling an operating system. I won't talk about it too much because if you listen to last week's show, I talked about it quite a bit. But I ended up finishing it. Still haven't really changed my thoughts. It's was a very fun experience, and uh, I do wish there were a little bit more structured missions. Like there's a lot to just get lost in, where you sort of feel like, oh, this is neat, and I'm really delving into this thing, and I've clicked 10 links in a row, and I bet 75% of people that played this probably missed this page because it's like really digging deep, and that feels cool. However, a lot of it can at times feel a little bit aimless. Like you don't really know, am I even anywhere close to what I'm supposed to be doing? There's only like 9, I believe, 8 or 9 cases, quote unquote, which is another word for mission in this game. And um, a lot of the times I felt like I was just doing guesswork. And while it was neat exploring, and I'm glad that it's kind of a double-edged sword because you're happy exploring all these crazy web pages, but on the other hand, you're like, am I really kind of wasting my time, or not utilizing my playtime in a way as effectively as I could? And my other small gripe with it is that the last mission, I just I was completely stumped. I did not know where to look, so I looked up, used a guide, so it wasn't particularly rewarding the final case, but really clever and satisfying ending, and just unlike another game I've played before. And if you're into late 90s internet vibes, it's a must play. If you're not, I'd consider just looking up a review on YouTube, seeing if it's your type of thing, because you can play it for free if you have Xbox Game Pass on PC or console. So
Yeah, I think it's worth checking out just for the like aesthetic, because they're pretty much like you're browsing the web.
yeah, like you're browsing, like you actually have your own desktop and everything. Like there's applications, there's like a little music player.
That's cool.
You download things, and then you got to click on them in your downloads to actually use them. It's very meta and very fun.
That's awesome.
And the other two games that I put on the outline, I don't think I really played enough to really discuss. So we'll save that for next week. Anybody else have any other games they want to mention before we move on?
That's it for me.
That's all
That's it for you.
I'm all set.
Okay, well, before we move on to the topic of the show, which is us waxing nostalgic about the good old PS2, I thought I'd read a question that we got from one of our listeners.
Woo.
Golden Age Retriever wants to know, what is your least favorite and most favorite genre? Why don't you kick us off, Kenny?
My
He's
least
thinking.
favorite genre is the one I'm not good at. I'm just just playing. Least favorite.
I mean, that's a fair. That's really my reason is because
That's
I'm
not
bad at
bad.
them.
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say my least favorite so far platformers. I am bad at them.
Hmm.
Don't hate them completely, but I just sometimes I just become I'm too anxious and I don't time my jump. Sometimes I'm just not good. You know,
You should try Celeste.
I did. Sucked at it.
I kept no way. I'm right there with you.
My favorite, I would say, is RPGs, especially
Just the why.
JRPGs.
Yeah, just I know there's so many different kinds of RPGs that, yeah, I was gonna say, can you narrow it down? But you already did JRPG.
Yeah, I would say my favorite one out of all of them would be it would be the JRPGs, even though I just loved RPGs in general. Could
Hmm.
dive into just about any of them, but I love spending time on those JRPGs.
It's all about a grind, baby.
The grind, I love that grind.
Love min maxing.
Okay, Anthony, I already know your favorite.
Do you?
Same as Kenny's.
Yeah, pretty exactly. Same as Kenny's. My least favorite, sports. It's because I'm not a sports guy.
Sports.
That's good sports.
Gotcha. Well, personally, I think that my favorite genre it's a little bit hard to pin down exactly, but it's third person action open world game. So similar to something like um,
Assassin's Creed.
Assassin's Creed or The Witcher or Horizon Zero Dawn. Very into exploring open worlds, but then I also have to, throw in things like Red Dead Redemption 2, which I think would fit in that category as well, which is probably going to end up being my favorite game this generation. But
Over Last of Us 2?
yeah, a little bit. And Western RPGs like Fallout are also up there, but I got to go with just third-person action RPGs. And for my least favorite, it's a little sad to say, but it's probably the puzzle game. I've played some that I've liked, but I tend to like to solve things with some dexterity of my fingers rather than just my mind. Like I really want to enjoy games like Braid and The Witness, which I think are geniusly designed and have some just are so well thought out, but for me end up being just more frustration than enjoyment. I started playing Return of the Obra Dinn on Steam recently, and despite it having a incredible, unique art style and just an overall impressive look and concept, I was not having fun. Like I just was just you're trying to figure out how all these men died and what their names are, and you're looking at your logbook, and it's all very well done, but it's just not something I could get into.
That's fair.
All right, moving on to topic of the show. Looking back at the PS2, came out October 26, 2000. I saw that when we were trying to think of a topic of the show, and I said that's got to be it. That's just a crazy milestone to reach.
20 years.
And
That's crazy.
20 years. So I thought we would choose 3 games that we look back on as the most seminal for us during this early 2000s period. Um, why don't we start with Kenny? And I would love to hear your thoughts on your first game that you listed.
Kingdom Hearts.
Kingdom
Ah,
Man,
Hearts.
yes. Yeah, near and dear.
man, I remember just getting home, right? I had the PS2. We had Grand Theft Auto on it. We had all these other games on it, but then my neighbor next door was like, "Hey, there's this game and you attack people with a key and Disney characters are in it and some people that I don't know named Squall is in it." I'm like, "Squall, wait a second,
What do
Final
you mean?
Fantasy 8." I'm like, "What are you talking about? Donald, Goofy, Final Fantasy?" I'm like, "Wait a second, I need to see this game. Let me borrow it." "Oh, I'm about to beat it." I'm like, "All right, when you beat it, let me borrow it." Beats it, I play it, and I'm like, "Wait a second, where did this come from? I've never heard of this game."
Do not tell
I'm
me
a
you were not enthralled by that opening cutscene when you
Man,
were
that
like,
opening cutscene, I was like, "Oh, this
"Hmm,
is the greatest thing ever."
Goosebumps.
Goosebumps. I still get the goosebumps when I play it. I
I
remember
love it."
replaying it right before Kingdom Hearts 3 came out, and I was like, "Whew, the
It's
Still
goosebumps." I
gets
was
you.
like,
Still gets
it
you.
still gets me. I'd be jamming now with Simple and
simple and
Clean.
clean. I've been
Yep.
having some weird thoughts lately. Like, is any of this for real
Yep.
or not? Shh, shh, ah, ah.
Yep,
And there's
exactly.
just a little boy falling for like a
Yep.
minute and a half.
Oh, oh. Like,
Oh,
what was it? Part 2 had it more upbeat, right? The
oh
intro.
yeah, it was Sanctuary Part 2, where it was
Yep.
just like, I'm just feeling despicable, just begun. Yeah, it just
Yep.
like talks backwards halfway through it. It's great.
So
Uh,
Kingdom Hearts obviously spawned a slew of sequels, everywhere from
Slew of them.
mobile to Game Boy
Yeah.
Advance to current gen consoles. Is the original still your favorite?
Man, it's up there. Yeah, honestly, I think because it's jam packed with the nostalgia, sometimes I could just play it and I could just I could almost feel like I remember how I felt as a kid playing this. Almost like I smell the neighborhood in Lawrence, Mass, where I lived.
ooh, that's a deep
You know,
cut. Oof.
like I'm
Hmm.
like crap. Like this 3 family house that we rented out the first floor. It just brings me back to that moment where I had no bills, no headaches, no 9 to 5 job.
For
Just
sure. For
there's
sure.
Destiny Islands as far as the eye can see,
Yep.
and the gummy ship.
The what was it? The fruit?
Oh, the Paupu
The
fruit.
the Palku fruit, yep. Yeah.
Word.
It brings me right back there. So I couldn't do a PS2 list without mentioning Kingdom Hearts.
Oh yeah.
Nice, nice. And I know that Anthony would probably put that on his list as well. I don't know about top 3, but we're trying to keep things diversified.
Oh yeah. It's got honorable mention because I saw Kenny had it, and you know, it's always gonna be up there for me. It's gonna be that big one. It's like one of the first games I got with it. I actually think that was the game I got with the PS2 for Christmas the year it came out.
Word. Well, I want to talk next about my first game that I listed. And I put it first because I played it before it came out when I was at the Big Apple Anime Fest in New York City in early 2001, I guess maybe summer 2001. And this game didn't come out until later that year. It's the follow up to the Crash Bandicoot games from Naughty Dog. I remember playing the demo and being completely wowed by it. Just, I was only semi into anime, so I spent half the day at the PS2 demo,
Hell
just playing
yeah.
the first level. And when I got it, it did not disappoint. I think that it's a great as far as collect 100 of these things goes. It's near the top of the heap for me. I
Hmm.
think that I love just they kind of took the jungle charm that Crash Bandicoot had and just took it into a new place. And at the time, I was 10, 11 years old. Daxter was hilarious to me,
Oh yeah.
and
Do you
he's
remember those
now.
old commercials of him like talking to the hot babes, and they're like just sitting there, and it's like, oh, that's like a CGI little the Daxter.
Yeah, that rings a little bit of a bell.
I
Those
And yeah,
were
remember,
that
great.
I remember trying to show that to my mom in Target, or like being like, "Mom, look at this funny commercial." She's just like, "Yeah, whatever, I don't fucking care." I was like, "Okay."
I think the game holds up as well. I played it a couple years ago, got the platinum, and so I think that I've actually maybe played through it 3 times now.
I gotta take care of a dog. Hold on.
No problem. But anyway, so it doesn't get the same acclaim that the Marios do, and it's probably not as technically, at least from a platforming perspective, quite on it. That's that level. But as far as charm and nostalgia, and just thinking back on what the early days of the PS2 meant to me, I think that I gotta give the top spot to Jack and Dex personally.
Nice.
Nice, nice.
All right, so Kenny, or no, Kenny, you already went. It's your turn,
Yeah,
Anthony.
Anthony. Yep.
Mine was. Oof. I had so many. I was a big PS2 boy. I think my
Yeah, you put
top.
a lot of honorable mentions.
Oh, there's so many. It's hard, but I think probably like besides Kingdom Hearts, I think my top one probably had to be that I spent the most time on was Dark Cloud 2. That was like my big PS2 game. I played that all the time with my best friend growing up, and we because it was a mix of like action RPG. They had the first one I think was like not a launch title for the PS2, but it was like it released a little bit after that. But the second one kind of had a really nice style. The soundtrack is awesome. I highly recommend it. They remastered it for PS4. It should be on PSN. You can pick that up for pretty cheap.
Hmm.
Um, it's a lot of fun. There's like 7 different chapters, very heavy focused JRPG. You play as 2 different characters, and you have different weapons. Each character has 2 weapons, and you go through the different dungeons of the world, finding these. I forget what the point exactly is. Oh, it's like it's got like some time travel plot in it. And it gets you kind of here and there, and it's cute. The dialogue is great. The voice acting is really good. The main character I remember. I really loved all the voice acting. His character Max in English is voiced by the same guy who voices Robin from Teen Titans, from like the original Teen Titans.
Yeah. Okay.
And I forget
Okay.
who Monica the chick is voiced by, but it's all done really really well. If you're a fan of like any kind of action RPG, it's really fun. I think I sank like 200 hours into it back in the day on like a good
That's a
old
fair
8-bit.
amount. That's a fair amount for sure.
8 MB memory card. I think I had like 3 different save files, and it was cool because it was one of the first games I remember you could beat. It had like a post story kind of thing to it, where it was like the whole
Mm.
separate dungeon and everything.
So is it a real-time
Hmm.
RPG, or is it okay, so it is. It's not turn-based.
Yep, it's real time. You have the main character. I thought was really cool. It's kind of along the lines of the Kingdom Hearts weaponry, where his main weapon's a wrench, and then you have like a little pop gun pistol. And as you go through the dungeons, you don't level up. Your weapons level up, and once they level up, they get points that you can put gems into or stones or whatever you find in the dungeons by opening treasure chests. And by getting them to certain point values in certain areas, they can evolve into different weapons.
Yeah, that's unique. You think the
So
game
it's
holds up?
I think so. I actually have to go back, and it's been a while. I've had a little bit of a craving to play it, so I might go back and do that pretty soon. But it's really fun. I recommend it if anyone likes, old school action RPGs. And the remaster does it some pretty good justice too, I'd say.
Sweet. All right, so we are back around the horn. Kenny, what's your number 2?
My number two would be Soul Calibur 2.
Ooh.
You
Get
got
it,
the
number two.
Heihachi version? The Heihachi version?
Actually, I had the Heihachi version, and then I was sent the OG Xbox by my uncle,
Ooh.
and then I picked up the Xbox one with Spawn,
Hmm.
and my best friend had a GameCube, so whenever we wanted to switch it up, we'd play the GameCube version of Soul Calibur 2
Hell yeah,
with
that's the one to
Link
get.
in it.
Mm-hmm.
Most
So,
hype guest
Weapon
character
Master
of all
mode.
time.
Yep.
you know, so I, will- I it, Soul Calibur in general
Oh.
was a game that I loved across all 3 platforms. But I owned it first as a PS2 version and then the Xbox one. But I spent so many hours on that game on the PlayStation 2. With its collecting all the different weapons for each character.
That was so
Because
cool. That blew my mind.
I'm so obsessive with collecting little things in some of the games, and I was like, wow, like I want to get every weapon variation for each one of these characters. I even love this game to the point where I bought the backwards compatible game for my Xbox One.
Oh yeah,
Oh wow.
nice.
Yeah.
Wait, so they have the Soul Calibur 2 for Xbox
Yes.
One?
Yep.
Yeah,
Like
there's a lot of
original?
Xbox classics that you can buy
Hmm.
digitally, and
Yep.
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Yep. Yep. So I still, from time to time, go back in trying to collect all the weapon variations whenever I'm bored and I want a fighting game. I'm
That's
like, you know
cool.
what? Let's go to Soul Calibur 2.
It's a good one. It's like it's cool because what we're watching on screen as well. It's all coming back too. There's like a very D&D kind of setup to it, which is sweet because they give you like this cool little intro where it's like you wander through the dungeon in search of something.
Yep.
You find this, and your heart begins to palpitate, and you gotta fight something now.
And like every little space you went about or different things you did had like a little dialogue behind it, things like that. I thought it was so well done and so much content for for a fighting game. I grew up on the Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat, where really for the most part didn't really have anything else when I was first playing them to really other than just fighting each other. So that was different for me.
Yeah, I think that I kind of forgotten that it was so feature heavy like that, and I think that leading up to this game was Soul Calibur at its peak in terms of popularity. You had the original on Dreamcast, which a lot of people didn't get, so they had heard about this super acclaimed game. That, of course, it's also in arcades, but they didn't get a chance to play it themselves, and now it was releasing with special characters on each system, and it was. I'm looking at the release date, and it was mid 2002, or yeah, mid 2002, and so shortly less after a year after the Xbox and GameCube, and so early on in that generation's life cycle, and it was hype. It was definitely like
Yes.
no, you don't see fighting games getting that level of excitement pre-release. I don't think so much, or at least not any anything
Not
like
anymore.
regularly these days.
Hmm.
So cool, nice choice that I didn't see coming there. Now let's see, whose turn is it? Is it back to
I,
me?
I think it's yours,
It's
sir.
back to yours.
Okay, back to me. It's got to be Final Fantasy X.
Yes.
Why is it Final Fantasy X, you ask? Well, it was the first non Pokemon RPG, I think. It's been a long time, so I might be forgetting something that I completed. I did so with the assistance of my older cousin, who I was visiting in Missouri. I was like, "Why do I keep dying to Sin?" It's like the
Ooh.
second Sin battle. He's like, "Oh well, your party's trash," and
You gotta use the spirit kid, brah.
no, he just took me back, got me a couple legendary weapons, got me a couple of the summons that I had
Those were
missed.
hard.
Yeah, I didn't get all of them, dude. Oh my
Yeah, they're
god, that show.
nuts.
Getting Titus's legendary sword
Yeah.
when you with the chocobo race.
Those are stupid. Orange is stupid because you have to capture all the monsters and then you have to go back using that really crappy sword. Then you have to go back and fight them all in the like the little arena thing that they have, which is like a big open
Yep.
area.
So you remember better than me. It's been a long
Which
time
one?
since I played through it.
And what is it that you get when you get electrocuted consecutive
Oh,
times?
that's somebody's ultimate weapon. I forget who it
Yeah,
might be Lulu's or it's we have to dodge
yeah.
the lightning 100 times.
Hmm.
Which is I still can't do it. It's been years and I still can't do it.
Yeah, man. I,
Yeah,
I
that's
I
some brutal
spent
shit there.
hours trying to do that.
Oh my God. It was that game is great though. I remember playing that for the first time or watching my friend play it at his house and being like, "Whoa."
I mean, as you can see, if you're watching the show, you can see Tyler's sharing an early cutscene from the game. It still looks good. Like this CG at the time was incredible, and of course, the in-game didn't match it. But every time you got one of these cutscenes, whether it was a big story moment when Yuna was doing her first ritual, if you recall what I'm
Oh,
talking about,
descending, yeah.
yeah,
Yep.
and there's just so many moments that at the time were pretty jaw-dropping.
Yeah, like that special laugh.
Oh no,
Ah!
we can forget about the
Ah.
special.
I like that. I think that's endearing. I think that's like I'm glad that the game is still known for that. It's got some charm to it. It's definitely it's like a fine wine. That moment is kind of gotten better as the years go on.
So how good were you guys at Blitzball?
Oh, I fucking sucked.
I was bad, real
I
bad.
was I was nasty. I got his when I got shot, I was nasty with it.
In fact, I
Oh yeah,
didn't
because
even
that's
win that tournament. You can lose.
yeah. I think I did too. I think you get one special thing or one shot or something you get if you win it, but I didn't really care because I think I died like 3 times or I kept losing and I was like, I'm not gonna do this anymore.
No, I was all about it. Like when I got his dad's special shot, I was like, I'm not losing no one.
Is that the only way you can get it? Is when you do the little quick time
And
event on the ship in the
yep,
beginning?
if you
Okay.
don't do it correctly, then you can't get it. At least from what I remember.
Mhm.
So I of course I got it when I played it, and I would abuse of that. I'm like, oh, he's on front of the goat. Yes, we're going to jet shot.
I think that was the best way to win. I think if you had the
Yep.
jack shot, you save up for it. As soon as you have the energy, you just do it and you just
Mhm. And it was in right away.
oh yeah, you just cheese it.
Hmm.
And just thinking about it more, the boss fights that stick out to me, like Shiva, how good of
Yeah.
right? Wasn't that a boss fight? Or was it Seymour and he was using Shiva?
I don't remember. I know he used Aeons, the summons. And I
Okay,
remember he
well,
used
maybe
the cool one that was like chained up in like the cocoon.
just the
Ah,
various
yes.
Seymour fights were all just so difficult for as somebody that was completely unfamiliar with the genre, like beating this game was like a hell of an accomplishment
Yeah.
as the 11 or 12-year-old that I was at the time. So that's my number two choice. And we are back around to Kenny for his final choice, which is a great
No,
one.
we're
And
back to
Oh
Anthem.
God,
Yes.
why is this hard for me?
it's okay, man.
Okay,
Let's see what I got here on this list. I'd probably say my second would be Monster Rancher 4 that came out. So that was the series of monster taming RPGs that was along with the big Pokemon kick that kind of tried to ride that wave of like, oh yeah, we're the next cool collectible monster franchise, and they had 3 previous games before this that came out. The first two are pretty rare, I think, now for PS1. I think fetch a pretty high price if you want to go physical. But the whole gimmick was you take your CDs or other games, PlayStation games. I know original Xbox or actually Dreamcast worked because anything with a CD, basically CD drive format, you could throw in and you could get a monster from it. So you could get there was a bunch of different monsters you could get. They're all kind of different variations of like certain forms. Like you'd have like a blue one of this kind, or they kind of got some of them were really cool looking. The other ones were a little weird, but this one was cool. I remember what's on screen now is if you put an Ape Escape, one of the Ape Escape games, you could get the monkey from it. I remember I had him because I was like, oh yeah, I love Ape Escape and I want the monkey.
That's super cool.
But the whole
so four is your favorite out of the series?
I'd say so. Yeah, that's probably the one I spent the most time with, like that I grew up with, because you could go through. You started off only with one monster, and as you progressed, you got it was like on a calendar system, the time system. So you would play through the game, kind of like almost a Persona way. You train your monster, you'd get their stats up, you go have them fight in tournaments. You hit a certain point in the story, then they give you an expansion on your ranch. You get to hold 2 more monsters, so 3 total, and then another while down the road, you get another expansion, so you get like I think 5 total, which is wild. So you go and you train them by having them do different exercises or workouts, and you get to kind of set their schedule, like when they can train, when they rest. And they added this whole new mode where you could play in third person as your little guy with the bandana on screen there, and you can go explore. So it's kind of like a dungeon crawler RPG in a way, where your guys had like energy, and then every time there's random encounters in the dungeons, and you get into like a fight, the same thing you do in like a tournament. But they don't
I'm just
experience
looking at
that
the
way.
sounds
Mm,
neat. I'm looking at the box art from the first game, and
it's
it's
wild,
pretty
huh?
funny. It's very
Yeah,
90s, yeah.
it's very
Because in the
90s.
upper left-hand corner, it says virtual monster breeder.
Yes. Yep.
And you can find it on eBay in good condition with the booklet for it looks like 50 some bucks.
Mhm.
I see a few without the booklet, which is pretty essential for PS1 games,
Oh yeah.
for around 40. Cool. So Kenny, why don't you hit us with your final pick?
My final pick was NBA Streets.
Hell
Ooh
yeah.
yeah.
NBA Streets 1 or 2, you couldn't decide. They're both your babies.
Yeah, honestly, both of them were great. I spent so much time playing these games. I just, playing them by myself and just playing them with my older brothers and their best friends. They were 8 years older than me. They kind of got me the game, so they would do this. I kind of remember fondly where like Friday nights they would go out and I'd be at home and they'd be like, oh, make sure you have NBA Streets ready for when we get back. So they get back, and then I start running the gauntlet against everybody with NBA Streets, and just smacking everybody around and just enjoying my time. and it was just a game that I thoroughly enjoyed on the PS2. And I saw your list. I was like, oh, I would have put GTA Vice City. I enjoyed that one. FFX, Final Fantasy X. You put that one. I wanted to put something different that I had up there also in my top 10 list of games for the PS2. And this was
Hmm.
one of them. This was definitely one of them.
Definitely, yeah. The first one being one of the first excellent PS2 games, being a great multiplayer option at the time. I was playing basketball in school and was just really into the NBA. So it was hitting all the spots that I wanted it to. And I totally agree. It was excellent. And then they followed it up with a phenomenal sequel. Two, while one might have a little more nostalgia for me, two is a better game. Like two just really refined the
Yep.
gameplay. Really, the visuals were pretty well overhauled, and I had that announcer. That both of them had good announcers. But very different sort of vibes. If I recall, I think it took a while for the Volume 2 guy to grow on me, but he eventually did. And I never played 3. Is 3 any good?
I've never played it actually. Me either. So I'm not sure
So
if it was or
who
wasn't.
knows? Didn't have
Yeah.
the same notoriety. And looking back, like EA Big was such a force back then, like with the SSX games and the Street
Yep.
games, and well, mainly those two, but they had a couple others as well. That motorcycle one, Freak Style. Did you ever play that?
No, I didn't play that one. No.
It was okay. Not as good as Street and SSX.
Okay.
Oh,
All right. So first, before I say the last game, I want to give some honorable mentions to Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3. Metal Gear Solid is one of my favorite franchises of all time, and 2 and 3 are excellent. 3's probably would be number 4 if I was doing this. Um, but I got to give it to GTA Vice City.
ooh.
Vice City was the game that I lied to my parents about to get, that I played with that I got into. I remember one time got into a big argument with a friend, and he was like, "Yo, well, I'm gonna tell your mom how violent Grand Theft Auto really is."
Hey, don't you dare.
And it was just the one that I got into the story the most. Tommy Vercetti was voiced, unlike the protagonist in GTA 3, voiced by Ray Liotta. Really gave it sort of more personality. Um, this was the one that had the best soundtrack in the series. Takes place in the mid '80s and just has a excellent, still I would say unmatched in the series, quality of soundtrack. I mean, San Andreas comes close. It's also very good, but this one just fit the setting and made you really feel like you were in Miami in the '80s in a way that I thought was super cool. Um, you know, the end game stuff is very challenging. Just sort of the main missions, or the missions between the gangs at the end, were like very tough. And this was like the only GTA game where I actually was making shitloads of money and had all the properties and had I had all the cheats memorized and
Oh
could
yeah.
just have a great time going on uh, a rampage. Which that is, I think this is the last game where that felt natural. And San Andreas just had a sort of an elevated realism to it
Mhm.
that made going on shooting sprees a little bit less fun. And I don't know, maybe just knowing the map like I did the back of my hand in Vice City, like it's a much smaller than San Andreas, so I always
Mhm.
knew where to go to know how to keep those shooting sprees going longer.
Yeah,
Um,
I love that club. Oh man, that club was alive. Spent so much time there, like in that mall. I love that.
dude,
You
the
just go to the
mall,
explorable little mall with a
the,
car.
yeah, but the mall, that there are some shitty missions in there. Like
Yeah.
there's that one mission where you have to take a hammer
Mhm.
and or you just have to break a shitload of windows. Like
Yeah, you can
the
shoot
game.
out all the glass windows in the stores.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know why you don't have to use a hammer. I just think thought it was easy for some reason to do it that way. But it's I don't think it's necessarily the best game in the series, but for me, it's always stood out as the one that me and my buddies from middle school were most connected to,
Mhm.
and That's what these lists I wanted to be about, and I think that we've done a good job of doing that. Is that we're not necessarily saying these are the top 3 games. It's the top 3 games that we think about when we remember our times with the PS2, the console that has sold more. Like I said briefly earlier, it's like 150 something million copies. Second place is like far behind. Everybody had one of these. The easy DVD player right after
Oh yeah.
DVDs came out, which is another huge selling point for it.
I'm glad
So
that guy
yeah,
took the car instead of the pink scooter. He knew it was up. He's like, "No, man, fuck that. I know that's here for me to take. I'm gonna go take the faster car."
right. Okay. Well, I thought it was a fun time to look back on a generation before we move into a new one. In just 2 weeks, at least 2 of us on the show will have a next generation console. Been hearing lots of great things about the
Do you?
PS5 controller,
One
and
thing before we wrap up, Wiley.
yeah, please.
Anthony hasn't given us his third one.
Oh yeah. My third
I'm the
is yeah.
worst. I'm the
It's
worst.
okay. It's okay, Wiley. I know you just don't want to hear about another RPG. I get it. I understand. Because it is another RPG. It's a Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne. That was like when I found out that PS2 like RPGs, they're not just like all fun, happy, joyous. Like even JRPGs, not all fun, happy times. Girls with big boobs, hanging out, flying everywhere, little cute mascots. It's the devil and you're dead. It's the apocalypse and you're gonna die. There's a bunch of satanic references, and you get to fuse all these cool demons in this big unholy world, and you got all these tattoos, and you can die on the tutorial.
That's pretty cool. And then we got the 5th one coming out. Like,
hmm
is that a Switch exclusive?
I don't know. It might be. I hope so. That'd be really cool if it was.
Pretty sure we got it at a direct, so I don't know if it's
Yeah.
exclusive or not. But
And we're getting the remaster of this one actually on the Switch within, I think, next month in November.
Yeah.
And it's actually
this is a
voiced, which is
PS2
really
game.
cool. Yeah, this is a PS2 game.
It looks like could be a PS3 game from what
It
Tyler's
had
throwing out.
really, really good the Shin Megami Tensei, like the Devil Summoner, Devil Summoner games, and then this one, Megami Tensei 3 on PS2 were really well done. This one it's a little infamous for that meme online where it's that little sticker where it says featuring Dante from the Devil May Cry series because they threw him
Oh,
in as like a party member you could get if you did a certain thing he was like optional in boss or something
Oh,
that you
nice.
could get, but he was awesome. But yeah, the quality and the graphics it's got a solid story. Uh, looks really nice and it's hard. It's really hard. It's very challenging.
word. Dante, you mentioned his name, and I got to say he is another one that just missed the cut. DMC 1 and 3, 2 sucked. Are excellent, excellent games that I definitely associate with the PS2. And yeah, Ratchet and Clank, Sly Cooper. We just only had so much time,
Yeah,
and that time is now ending because this is the end of the episode.
No.
Next week,
I like
holy
that.
shit, it's gonna be election night, and I'm gonna be a nervous wreck.
That's okay. We'll I don't know. We're all gonna
And
die one day, so
and
it's
then a
I'm
week
it'll be
taking.
okay.
later, I'll be unboxing my Xbox.
Yeah,
Ooh.
that'll be fun.
Wait,
There's
that's already coming out?
Yep.
yeah, man, 2 weeks,
14
Ooh.
days.
until
See,
the
I'm a pro,
next
so
generation.
that's nuts.
And a couple
All right.
days later, hopefully Tyler will be unboxing his PS5.
Mm-hmm. That's
Ooh.
right.
That's awesome. Very excited for you
Mhm.
guys. Very, very happy. Congratulations.
Which is
All right,
impressive.
and that'll do it.
Cool.
All right.
Let's get
All
chatting
right,
about the
guys.
PS2 and nostalgic memories and everything else. And as Wiley would say, if you like the show, give us a big thumbs up. Don't forget to comment and subscribe if you want to talk to us, ask us questions. We're always open. Join our Discord, link down below. And
Yeah, I should start saying that every episode at the top of the show because
that's okay.
are we
That's
still
just what I
live,
got like.
Tyler?
Oh yeah, we're live.
Oh yeah.
No, we're still live. All right, well,
Don't put
All right.
pineapples on your pizza. We'll be fine. Have a good one.
Bye.
Hey,